Welcome to Straight from the Source with Hayley Watts, and our guest today is Butte County District Attorney Mike Ramsey. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Oh, well, you're welcome. And thank you for inviting me.
I just found something out. He's about to have a big anniversary. 47 years old, right?
No. Yeah, I'm 47 years old. Yes, very good. Thank you very much.
47 years as the district attorney for Butte County.
Well, not as a district attorney, but
Okay.
I came as a deputy May 1st, 1978. It was pretty good because it was my mom's birthday.
Okay.
And so it was a little present for her coming back into town.
Right.
And then also allaying her fears that when I went away to college that I'd come back as either a communist or a hippie or a drug addict.
That sounds about right. I think that parents think that all the time.
Oh, yeah. And so as I told her on that day, I say, hey, Mom, not bad. 2 out of 3, it's not bad.
Can you tell me which two? So you're the longest serving district attorney in the state at this point,
That's
right?
Yeah, I got 37 as the elected district attorney.
Okay, so aren't you tired?
No.
No.
Well, my dad always said, and he loved his job. He was a game warden.
Okay.
And he always said, if you love your job, you don't do a day of work. So.
I've got to be honest with you. I actually feel the same way. I always say that. I mean, yes, by the end of the day, I'm excited to go home, kick up my feet, eat some dinner, relax. But I look forward to going to work every day. I don't know what I would do once I hit retirement age, whatever that is. I'm sure you're far from retirement age.
Oh, but of course.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because people had asked me, and I said, okay, well, let's go June. And they said, oh, your birthday. And I said, well, yeah. Yes, and 2048, so I'll be 100. So.
Oh, perfect. 2048, that's your 100th? Okay, I'll mark my calendar for that. Yeah, we'll talk about it. So what is it for you when you think about going to work and the job that you do? What gives you a sense of maybe excitement or fulfillment? Like, what is it that drives you?
Well, what drives us is, and I did this when I became the elected, we have a mission statement that says to do justice as no one is above the law nor beneath its protection. So every day, as a lawyer, I mean, this is the best job in the world because we get to do justice every day. And so it's not in the sense of someone's representing a client that they know is guilty or know has done something wrong or knows is on the wrong side of a civil suit. We always are on the right side.
Okay.
And so that gets you there every day to protect the public and protect your community. And this is a wonderful community, and so that's what gets me up every day.
Well, okay, so there's this idea of good guys and bad guys.
Sure.
But there's also all that area of gray in between.
Oh, gray.
I mean, haven't you broken the law ever?
Me? No.
Yeah. Never?
Never. Coming over here, speed limit all the way over.
Perfect. Even when you were a little kid, you never had some I stole a squirt gun when I was 7 years old. My parents found it and they made me go apologize. After that, I was shamed for life. I learned my lesson.
No. It was I'll give you a bit of an example in the sense that went down to my college years were down in Berkeley during the good years, during the 60s. And so after that and coming back up and working as a journalist for a while and then going to law school and then coming to the DA's office, some cases that became kind of newsworthy and would be some national newsworthy and everything, and I'd get calls from old college chums that kind of lost track, and they go, "You are the district attorney?"
Yeah, that tells us a little something right there. Yeah. What about? I mean, there must have been times where friends or people you knew, all of a sudden you're like, "Oh shoot, I'm gonna have to prosecute this person."
Yeah.
Do you ever have people calling you and just, "Oh, come on, do me a favor"?
Oh, there would be obviously people that says, "Hey, and it's usually, I'm a good person." And I say, "Absolutely, you're a good person, but you did a wrong thing."
Right.
And so that's the way it has to be.
Yeah.
I mean, but the law in itself it's not malleable, but the law and the beauty of being district attorney is that we have a great deal of discretion to take the kind of the hard edges off of the law on times, and do the work that will be justice. Fairness is what we're always striving for.
Right. Now, you said you were a journalist for a little while.
Yeah. When I got back from college, I had no idea, basically, what I was going to do at that time. I had gone down to Berkeley looking at math and physics.
Okay.
And then picked up a history degree also while I was there. And they came back and was doing some substitute teaching for a while, and knew that's not what I'm going to do. Well, substitute teaching is not really teaching, it's line taming. Because I remember what we did to our substitute teachers.
Right.
Oh, good God. Karma is
Pranks.
awful.
Yep, so mean, yeah.
And so the local sports editor of the Orville Mercury, and it was a much larger paper back then, as local newspapers were.
Right.
And he had talked to my dad, wanting to do more outdoor sports stuff. So Dad said, "Hey, come along. We're going to go do fishing up in the lake. This guy wants to write some stories." And so did. We got talking. I said, "Hey, I used to be an editor of the Orville Tiger Tales, the Orville High School Tiger Tales."
Okay.
And he says, "Hey, well, how about you write some stuff?
Yeah.
Would you like to do that?" And I said, "Sure." So I wrote a few outdoor stories that they ran. And then the sports editor, who was a large man, spun around on his chair, fell off, and broke his knee.
So it all worked out in your favor.
So then the editor of the paper called up and says, "Hey, I understand you used to be an editor down at school. Why don't you come and fill in?"
Okay.
Well, he thought I was perhaps the editor of the Cal Berkeley newspaper, not the Orville.
A little misunderstanding.
But I took the job for several months as the real sports editor healed up, and then they liked my writing, and so for the next 3 years I was doing reporting feature stuff, and then got into what they call the cops in court shop.
Okay.
And so I would cover the police beat in the morning, going out and getting the stories, and in the afternoon we'd go over to the court and cover the various court stories. And I said, I like this.
Interesting.
I like what I see here.
Yeah.
Decided to go to law school and do it.
Okay, so one thing just led to the other.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, since you've been in both professions, what do you think about the role of journalists in terms of serving the community by bringing them information, by trying to hold law enforcement or anybody in a position of power accountable? But at the same time, something I hear a lot from law enforcement is a hesitancy to let too much information out there because you don't want to jeopardize an investigation. Sure. How do we balance that?
I think the balance is with the local media have very good understandings with the local media, in the sense of saying, I will give you everything I can, because I really believe in transparency, and I believe that is extraordinarily important for our way of government, our way of life, what in a sense it means to be an American.
Yeah.
And that, and as a former journalist, very much believing that, and keeping track of our governmental officials, the fourth estate, as it were, that fourth ad hoc branch of government. And, but that line where we can say, okay, I can't tell you right now what that weapon is, because I don't want, and this is me talking as the DA, is to a journalist, I can't tell you that weapon or that particular detail, because I want to know if someone comes forward and they say this particular detail, I know it's because they were there, or they saw it, or they know something, as opposed to, I saw it on the news.
Right.
And I think that works out just fine.
You've always stood out as somebody who is really good about giving us as much as you can. In
Sure.
fact, and every reporter, every new reporter who starts here when they interview for the first time, they come back with a story to tell me. My story from one of the first times I interviewed you, we had just met each other a few times and I had gotten engaged. And I walked into his office and you had a folder and you said, okay, before we get going, I've got something I need you to know. Your fiance, his name is whatever, Danny Watts, and he said, I need you to take a look at this before you make any decisions. And it was empty, there was nothing there, but you're just pulling my leg. My heart was racing. What do I not know about this guy?
Yeah, well, we established boundaries.
Right, yes. Yeah. And then my Nathan, one of the newest reporters here, he said, oh, Mike Ramsey, did you know that the Unabomber used to be one of his teachers?
Yeah.
Tell me that story.
Oh, yeah, down at Berkeley. I was a math major, and so I was taking a class called Theory of Sets. Mm-hmm. The professor was teaching, and it was an early morning class, and I hated early morning classes. But there, got to take the class. Extraordinarily dull guy that starts teaching, chapter 1. He just does nothing other than teach from chapter 1. Then, next class, chapter 2. Start the third class. He's going chapter 3. I raised my hand. I said, okay, do you grade on classroom participation? No. What do you grade on? The midterm in the felony. Or felony. Final. Yeah, that's Freudian.
One track mind.
Yeah. And I said, great, I'll see you then. And that was the next 2 times that I saw him until he became news and so forth. And I read in one article that the student rating on him is that he taught from the book and so forth. And I go, oh my God, let me tell you a little bit. Oh, it's him.
Obviously, he wasn't a people person. Didn't care if he showed up.
He was not, but kind of an interesting then twist. The FBI agent that went out into the woods up in Montana and actually put hands and arrested him as head of the Unabomber task force is a Max Knoll. I hired his son, Mark, and was in my office, and so it was just kind of fun. So Max, as the head FBI agent, when they were ready to try Kaczynski down in Sacramento in the mid-'90s, he invited myself and his son down to the 10th floor, the federal building, whatever, 100 agents, half a dozen U.S. attorneys doing it just to see what kind of resources.
Right.
And so I happened to mention to Max about my connection. He happened to tell one of the U.S. attorneys and said, oh my God, I need to talk to you. I need to interview you right now because, we need to know everything we need to know about this guy because he's doing a mental defense. Yeah. And I said, not going to help you too much.
Yeah, because he was a little...
Yeah, he was a bit of a hermit and whack job, but it's just interesting the things you meet in life. You mentioned this mental health thing. I know this comes up a lot of times in defense of someone. And it's interesting, like we're seeing it across the country and across our state, of course. More and more people are identifying as having mental health disorders. Mm-hmm. How often do you feel like that's really applicable and it would get somebody off the hook? Or does it make you give them leniency, like even in your mind as you're building that defense, if you know that they're struggling with something? Yeah, and that's the, in a sense, you're looking at a person. You can't have that as an excuse unless you are truly not guilty by reason of insanity. Yeah. And it's kind of the levels. You can be crazy. You can be nuts, but to get up here to be legally insane is much more. But down here in the crazy area, we take that into consideration in the sense of how to kind of handle this person, the appropriate punishment or the appropriate treatment, and so forth. Unless the person's going away for life, and even life in California doesn't mean life.
Right.
They're eventually going to, get out. So how do you want to deal with that person? You certainly want to, give them a timeout.
Right.
You want your community, your society, to be able to kind of breathe a sigh of relief if this crazy person is now off of the street for some time,
Right.
and hopefully getting treatment necessary to make them better. So once they get out, that they're not doing the same thing.
That's something I wonder about all the time, because so many times, I mean, there are like the good guys and the bad guys by perspective. That's always a matter of opinion. But then there is
gradients
right.
of gray.
It's like the mental health thing, and then drugs. Drugs is. I don't think anybody woke up or was born and decided I want to be a drug addict and have to steal from my neighbor to not have my body shake violently because I'm sick. And I feel such compassion for somebody in that situation, and I wonder if going to jail is going to help them with their drug addiction. I know there are some good programs, right?
Oh yeah, what we look at, and go back just a moment. No one thinks they're going to be born or wake up as a drug addict. Unfortunately, it does happen, because we have children that are born what we call tox positive.
Oh, that's right, with the moms.
Yeah. And so they've already started out with a huge strike against them, or they're living in a home that is infused with drugs. And we started years ago our Drug Endangered Children program to try and deal with that part of our kind of the intersection of law enforcement, social work, and so forth. But when we look at the programs that we do, is to try and get treatment. Now, I'm not a huge fan right now of what the legislature has done in terms of mental health diversion, because the legislature has made mental health diversion such that if anyone comes up with a diagnosis and that's in what they call the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, I think it's up to 6 now. It's a book.
Okay.
It's
Lots
all of the
like
sections,
anxiety.
Anxiety, schizophrenia, bipolar, PTSD, substance abuse disorder. If someone gets that diagnosis, they've committed a crime. Their attorney will try to get them a diagnosis, and then you would think, okay, well, that diagnosis has to be connected to the crime that they committed. Would be the idea. But the legislature has made it now that gets a diagnosis, it is presumed that that diagnosis, whatever it may be, caused this person to commit this crime. And it is up now to the district attorney to disprove that by clear and convincing evidence. And that, unfortunately, causes some folks, and we've had some unfortunate incidences where they get a mental health diversion, probably shouldn't have got that mental health diversion, and go on and commit much more serious crimes because they're not really being supervised that well. Our probation department is way down. It doesn't call, that section of the law doesn't call for supervision by probation officers. Much better way of what we kind of used to have, and kind of the logical way is, fine, someone has a mental health problem. That mental health problem caused them to do this case. We will take that into account. The judge will take that into account. We'll have them put on probation, and as a condition of their probation, they're going to get treatment. A probation officer will be there to make sure that they get that treatment, also that they don't blow up that treatment by continuing to use drugs. And that's kind of the normal way of doing things, and that takes, it's compassionate. You're trying to get treatment to the person. But the way our legislature has tried to do it is, nope, you get the diagnosis, now you go off and you get treated. Well, treatment professionals, the therapists and so forth, they're not probation officers.
Right.
They're not saying, oh, it looks like he's using drugs again. Oh, I'm going to have to turn you in. It don't work that way. So there's a disconnect, unfortunately.
Have you had anybody ever come up to you, maybe at a restaurant or something, and just say, hey, listen, I just want you to know, you put me behind bars, but now I'm 10 years sober, and thank you so much? Or,
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah, many times.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember one was, I think it was the Butte County Fair down in Gridley, and happened to have two of my daughters, quite young at that time, and we're just walking across the field, and I see a guy pushing a carriage, baby carriage, and he's all tatted up, sleeve tats, and they're obvious prison tats. And he looked back, and he looked at me, and we're kind of going in a direction. And,
Right.
And he says, hey, excuse me, Mr. Ramsey. And I said, girls, why don't you go over there and run, play.
You never know how it's going to
Yeah.
go.
And so he says, hey, I just wanted to tell you that I wanted to kill you for the first 5 years I was down at prison. And I said, oh, okay, so what caused you not to? I'm thinking, hopefully,
Oh, gosh.
the
Where's
direction's
this
not going to
going?
go the other way. He says, no, I finally looked in the mirror and I saw the problem.
Yeah.
And you saved my life by putting me in prison and keeping me away from drugs. And I started getting the treatment and everything. And a little 8-month-old baby that's in the carriage, he says, thank you for that.
Oh,
And I
that's
go,
great.
Great.
What about on the flip side? There must have been times when you put somebody who's really dangerous behind bars. And as you said, even a life sentence, oftentimes in California, isn't really that,
Correct.
where you've been knowing, like, keeping an eye on their release date and pretty concerned about them getting out and retaliating or anything like?
Oh, there's not too much. I did have my 91, I had my house shot up.
Oh.
By a crew that we were prosecuting, rather, drug crew that we were prosecuting fairly seriously. And so, but dealt with it, I believe, hands-on sometimes.
Okay.
And so I went out on search warrants and discussed life and so forth with the various people that we were contacting.
Okay,
So
I
that
see.
didn't happen again.
Yeah. Have you had any run-ins with the cartels, like in the TV shows? Cartel bosses show up at your house?
No.
No.
We have cartels. We have,
Yeah.
And sheriff and I are very aware of up in the hills. We have a lot of cartel grows.
Yeah.
And then comes harvest time is murder time. And so we get a number of murders and so forth that come about from that.
Wow.
But no, we're trying to do the best we can to keep control and root that out.
Do you think it's getting worse or better?
I would say it's not getting better.
Okay.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
The idea in '96 and then later that making marijuana legal
Right.
would solve all the problems. It didn't. It just made a huge black market that gives the legality gives kind of a cover to some of the large grows that then go off and sell at inflated prices to the East Coast, Midwest, Texas, Florida, and so forth. So we deal with that a lot.
Yeah, wow. Well, California is really big on gun control, and we have some of the strictest laws in the nation.
Sure.
Recently, SB2 being passed. Have you had any SB2 cases come across your desk?
No, I mean, just haven't.
Yeah.
I think there's a certain wrong-headedness to it in the sense that you're saying, nope, we don't want people with guns even that are trained and have gone through a vetting process through the local sheriff and got a CCW, concealed carry. Nope, that person can't be out in these various areas with that gun. Okay, then the only people that are going to be there with the gun are the bad guys that don't have all of that. So, but quite frankly, we just haven't haven't
like
seen
generally the people who have the permit aren't the ones that you see committing the crimes.
that. Right. Extraordinarily rare.
Yeah.
And our sheriff, Corey, does an excellent job of vetting, getting the background on each of the people that want to get a concealed weapons permit. And so, no, that concealed weapons permit holders have not been an issue.
What about the ghost guns, especially now with like these 3D printers? I don't really understand how a plastic gun even works, but are you seeing more of a problem with just guns in the hands of people who shouldn't have them?
Yeah, and we're actually looking at some actions in that area right now that seem to have been really growing, and the fact that you're having the 3D printers with the plastic, not the barrel, but everything else, and put together basically an untraceable, that's why I call it ghost, gun. And so we're seeing more and more of that. And certainly no secret that what's happening is cartels bring drugs into the United States, into this area, to take guns back to Mexico.
Oh.
So that's the exchange rate.
Yeah.
So that's...
It's good to have good trade partners, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, perhaps the tariffs will take care of that.
Maybe. Oh, there's so much going on. I know Prop 36, that was a huge thing that you were a proponent of.
Yes.
Have you seen many local impacts yet?
Yeah, we, right now, we kind of ramping up slowly because we're way down in our office in terms of prosecutors. But right after the Prop 36, there was a guy, and I think came from Tehama, in a box truck, and he was hitting all the big box stores in Chico. And
filling up?
And he was filling up, and he was trying to make sure that it was under $9.50. He didn't know the new law.
Oh, okay.
Didn't know about the new law yet.
Yep.
So we educated him
Right.
as to the new law, and so he went off to jail and prison.
Isn't that so crazy, the mentality? Like, I'm thinking back to my 7-year-old self, right? Stealing that squirt gun and the fear and the shame of having to go apologizing and learning that, gosh, when you take from someone else, you're not just giving to yourself, you're taking from someone else.
You're giving, yeah.
And the mentality of so many people now, like, do you remember maybe a year or two ago at the Chico Target that there was an arrest of somebody who filled up a shopping cart, went out to the car, unloaded in the trunk, went back in for more, and on the way out when she was ultimately caught, I think she told officers like, oh, well, I thought as long as it was under a certain price, it was fine.
Right.
Like almost as if it's not wrong as long as you beat the rules.
As long as you keep it under $9.50.
It's an interesting mentality.
Yeah, and sometimes it's driven by a misunderstanding of what they read in social media or whatever, and other times they're thinking, well, yeah, maybe against the law, but it's a speeding ticket, and you give me that speeding ticket, and I won't show up, and I won't worry about it.
Yeah.
So that we get kind of that mentality also.
Yeah, I guess it's just a personal thing. Like, are you following the rules because you don't want to be in trouble, or are you following the rules because you want to live in a society where you can feel good about yourself because you live in harmony with others?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's enforcing the law also protects the rights of others.
Right.
And many times people go, "Well, you're coming down on me." No, I'm trying to make sure that you don't infringe upon the rights of others. I will protect your rights to a fair trial.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to pay.
Right. So.
It's kind of accountability,
Yes.
and that's what we try to do, is make sure that people are accountable.
Now, I know you mentioned you have not as many people working in your office as you'd like. Do you still go to trial?
I haven't in a while, because quite frankly, less people, then what happens is then if I go to trial, the sinner starts falling out because I'm trying to keep it going. But I love trial. And You know, that's why I got to be
Right.
a prosecutor. But the people we have with measure age passing, and very generous of our local supervisor, board of supervisors, right after measure age passed. They gave my folks an immediate 20% bump. And now the negotiations for more, so that we can become competitive for a very competitive market for prosecutors out there.
Yeah.
We used to have 28 in the office. Right now we've got 14. And so that means people have huge caseloads.
Right.
I'm constantly helping them work on those cases, constantly trying to be over to court. But you know, we can't try everything, and so a lot of stuff gets put into what we call backlog that we just can't get to.
Right.
And so the priority cases are, it's the old journalistic maxim, says if it bleeds,
Right,
it leads. And so in the
Yeah.
sense that those cases
Right.
that where it bleeds, that's going to be the lead case, you know,
Right.
a robbery, a child molest, a sexual assault, someone's assault, and so forth. Burglaries, you know, car thefts, and those have a tendency to take a back seat unless the person starts doing the same thing. That's how we take things out of backlog.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask you. So for those backseat people, if they couldn't afford bail, are they sitting in jail for like a couple of years waiting to go to trial, or oftentimes are they kind of just released and we'll call you when we get to your
Well,
case?
when I'm saying the backlog, we're not filing.
Oh, you haven't even filed the charges.
Haven't filed
it's just like,
charges.
okay, we know like you got kind of a ticket for something. Or,
You know, you got arrested, and
Yeah.
our officers are still out there
Yeah.
aggressively arresting. And what's been very good from local law enforcement is we're seeing local law enforcement refilling their ranks since the pandemic. And so we want to make sure that, you know, go out there, you arrest them, the fact that we may not be able to prosecute them and they'll get out of jail in
Right.
2 days. We have to, if someone's in jail, we have to have the people, and we'll have to have the reports first, but we also have to have the people to read those reports, to file those cases,
Right.
to get those people into court. And kind of many times the public and the lay public doesn't understand that just the fact that someone's arrested, that doesn't mean anything until we, in the DA's office, we have to look at those reports. Right. That person, it does not get charges on them until such time as we look and we charge them in the court. Many times you've seen an article or something. The police today arrested and charged.
Yeah, it's like a suggestion,
yeah,
right?
It's not. It's they've arrested and they say, I'm going to put this person in jail for the 2 days that on this particular penal code section.
Okay.
It's not a charge until we make it a charge.
Okay.
So if we don't make it a charge, that person's out.
Okay. And it's just, maybe they'll hear from you, maybe they won't.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But you know, if they get bold and decide, they're not prosecuting. Well, no, we'll do.
Just asking for a friend. Like, if you got arrested and then let go, haven't heard from the DA's office, can I like move out of the state if I wanted to?
No.
Oh, okay.
We'll come get you.
Okay.
If we get to that point of saying, okay, we got to here and we will file.
Right.
And particularly if they've done it twice or 3 times, we'll say, okay, this knucklehead hasn't got the message, so let's pull this one in, and wherever they may be.
Yeah. So now, do you ever watch any of those lawyer TV shows and think, oh my, that's not how it is at all? What are some of the biggest misconceptions that we probably think your job is like, but it's just not?
Well, it's like I say many times, and it's not. Law and Order's excellent show, but many times what you get, the view is that the DA just charges whatever the police have arrested on.
Yeah.
And that's not how it works. And that's, in a sense, the beauty of the job is this discretion.
Yeah.
To say, we can make a decision whether to file the case or not file the case. Police arrest on what we call probable cause, reasonable suspicion. We file on a case if we believe that we can prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. So those burdens, of proof, reasonable or probable cause, reasonable suspicion, beyond a reasonable doubt.
Right.
That's a big gulf. And so, for example, like many arrests just don't, guys probably obviously guilty.
Yeah.
But it takes much more to eventually find that person guilty, and that a lot of work by my folks or my investigators following up on the cases to make sure that we make that burden of beyond a reasonable doubt.
Right. Yeah. Do you have a proudest case, proudest, what is the word called?
No.
Somebody that you put behind bars that you just felt like, wow, I did it. That was really tough.
Oh, probably a case that I'm particularly proud of, but also frustrated with, in the sense that we couldn't put a specific human being behind bars, is PG&E. Our prosecution of PG&E as a corporation was the largest corporate homicide trial in United States history. So we convicted PG&E of reckless arson and 84 counts of manslaughter, unprecedented in United States history. But because of the way kind of California law is, generally law, I won't rag on California that much, or California law that much, is the fact that we would have to have shown, unlike with a civil case, everyone's saying, okay, the boss is responsible for whatever happens down below. It's called respondeat superior. It's a Latin term. It's you're the superior, you're responsible.
Right.
Criminal, no. Have to show that boss knew exactly what was going on and participated in that. When we had lack of maintenance for decades,
right.
That caused that hook in the PG&E tower, high tension
Broken
tower,
C
broke,
hook.
and then boom, down. Couldn't put a specific person in, but the idea that PG&E was responsible, and we see great leaps and bounds in changing the culture of PG&E right now.
Yeah.
So we're kind of proud of that.
That's good. So before I let you go, what does your wife think about, you're going to retire at 100, so that's 40 more years of work, right? 50 more years.
50, yeah. Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, all right. I'll go as long as I can.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I just really enjoy the work. Kind of like you, probably have a low threshold of boredom. And so every day is different.
Yes.
And I saw that when I was a newspaper reporter, and it was out there, going, okay, what's going to happen today? And certainly as a district attorney, seeing everything out there and being able to, like I say, and my folks, being able every day to wear the white hat.
Yeah.
And do the right thing. And we're advertising right now for recruitment.
Of course,
and
Join the team.
Yep, exactly. And one of ours is, do the right thing for the right reason in the right place.
Yep.
Join the Butte County DA's office.
I love it. That's a perfect end note. Thank you so much for being here.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
And if you've got the time, leave us a review and let us know who you want to hear from next.